We're still dealing with inflation and we've got super high interest rates at the same time, and that's putting American households in a hole that they can't seem to get out of. Let's watch.
The average American says they need to earn $233,000 a year to be financially comfortable. But in 2021, American workers on average made only $75,203 annually.
Americans are sort of looking at how much money they would like to have to be financially secure, and that ends up being basically 3 times what the average income is in this country. And to be essentially wealthy or really successful, it's magnitudes above that.
72% of Americans said they weren't financially secure given their current finances. And more than a quarter of Americans said they'll likely never be financially secure.
So right away, I want to go to you, Woz, because you see those figures, right? Ordinary Americans feel that they need at least $233,000 in annual income to have an economically stable life. What do you think about that? Do you think that that number is too high or just right?
I mean, it depends on where you're at. I think in LA and New York, you could probably make $233,000 work for you. But even then, you're kind of like, you're rubbing up against the ceiling of what you can do for real as far as quote unquote security. But I think the insecurity that people are feeling is just prices. And it's like, how much does it cost? The things that we associate with security, owning a home, being able to send my kids to a decent school, being able to make sure, that we can go on a vacation every now and again, do the nice things, pay for sports, pay for this. This stuff is expensive.
No, you're right about that. And right now, because of the high interest rates, on average, it is costing Americans $1,000 a month for their cars. I mean, that's insane. That is so expensive. Imagine having a $1,000 car payment. And that's what Americans are up against as a result of the inflation. And so, look, the 2 areas where, or I should say 3 areas where inflation is really hitting Americans hard: housing, cars, food. I go to the grocery store, those prices have not let up. We keep seeing that inflation has gone down, right? But in really important parts of our economy, inflation is still very much present and it has not gone down. Anyway, continue.
Well, no, that's all I was saying. The insecurity is when people see the things that they need for necessities are extremely expensive right now in relation to their actual income. That's why people don't feel secure. So even if they're making a number that a lot of people might perceive to be high, it's like, all right, cool, but my rent is this, my car payment is that, my groceries of this. Like to me, that's what that number, what that polling reflects.
Totally. And as of September, 62% of adults said that they're living paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is real, right? That's not just, I believe I should be making this much money. It's, okay, this is what my lifestyle is like, and it's getting increasingly difficult to survive. And by the way, that 62% is up from 58% last March. Now, here are some other details. Inflation has shown some signs of cooling, and the Federal Reserve said that rates will remain unchanged for now. The last 2 times where the Federal Reserve was considering raising rates, they actually decided against it and kept rates exactly where they're at. Now, the core personal consumption expenditures price index, which the Federal Reserve uses as a key measure, actually increased 0.3% in September. And the consumer price index also rose at a slightly faster than expected pace over that month. So the consumer price index, which is a closely followed inflation gauge, increased 0.4% on the month and 3.7% from a year ago. That is not good news, and that's according to the Labor Department. That compared with respective Dow Jones estimates of 0.3% and 3.6%. And so let's take a look at the specifics in regard to household costs and how they're pretty much crushing the average earner here in the United States.
Americans working full-time earned a median monthly income of about $4,400 during the second quarter of 2023. The average worker takes home 75.2% of gross wages after taxes and benefits. shrinking the take-home pay to about $3,308.
The cost of healthcare, that has skyrocketed. The cost of attending college has skyrocketed. The cost of purchasing a home has skyrocketed. But nowhere has anyone said wage growth is up 15%, right?
Take a look at some of the most essential expenses for Americans. The median monthly rent in the US is $2,029 as of June 2023. That amount already accounts for over 46% of the Americans' median pre-tax income. Meanwhile, the median mortgage payment for a 2,400 square foot house was $1,957 per month. However, a common rule of thumb advises spending 28% or less of your pre-tax income on mortgage payments. For the median gross monthly earnings, that translates to just $1,232.
Looks like Americans are doing great. And if anything, we should funnel $106 billion for more wars, which is exactly what the president, Joe Biden, has proposed we do. All of this as Americans are struggling with our broken healthcare system, with our insane housing crisis. Who cares? Americans, they don't come first, right? We gotta fund the defense contractors. We gotta help Israel carry out their brutality in the Gaza Strip. Let's funnel more money to these forever wars and everything's hunky-dory.
And the problem with this, of course, Anna, is that wage increases in the mainstream media by the financial press are always demonized. It means that employers are quote unquote doing worse. And then also, if we did get a wage increase, they would blame that said increase on inflationary prices. Like workers will always be blamed for every single condition in the country, even when they're not even reaping any of the benefits. And so like I see that, and I see that lady say, nobody's talking about a 15% wage increase. You obviously, American workers deserve wage increases. It hasn't increased with inflation for 50 years. And of course, we talk about it all the time. It hasn't kept up pace with CEO wages, obviously. But yeah, it's like the proof is in the pudding. It's just so obvious what's ailing Americans right now.
1000%.
Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a Young Turk.